Wait, so is it intuition if your brain whispers the future? Or are we all just accidental prophets now?
If Jung, Sheldrake, and Damasio walked into a bar, I bet they'd just argue over morphic fields and who gets to claim the phrase, brain's whispers of tomorrow.
We're asking the big question. Can you actually see the future? Or is it just coincidence and a trick of the mind?
This is The Voice That Knew, a skeptic's journey into precognition.
We are digging into the science, the stories, and the absolute weirdness of it all.
We've got 20 episodes to figure this out together. You're not going to want to miss where this ends up.
Welcome, everyone. We're glad you decided to join us.
Let's go.
Okay, so we've all had that feeling, that weird gut feeling not to get on a certain train or to call a friend out of the blue.
Right, that little internal nudge. It feels like a whisper of intuition. But what we're exploring today is, well, it's something else entirely. It's when that whisper becomes a clear, external-sounding voice, an announcement almost.
Yeah, a voice that tells you something specific is going to happen, and then it does. We've talked a lot on this show about the phenomenon itself, the physics paradoxes, the psi research, but today I want to come at it from a different angle.
From the machinery that might be producing it or receiving it. We're going to look at three very different thinkers who offer frameworks for how our minds might access information in unconventional ways. A neuroscientist, a psychologist, and a biologist whose work is, let's say, controversial.
Antonio Damasio, Carl Jung, and Rupert Sheldrake. It feels like we're covering the entire spectrum from mainstream science to the absolute fringe.
Exactly, because the question is, can any of their ideas, even the most speculative, get us closer to understanding that impossible precognitive voice?
Okay, let's start with the most grounded one, the neuroscientist Antonio Damasio. Where does he fit in?
Damasio gives us a potential neurological basis for those everyday gut feelings. It's called the somatic marker hypothesis, which he laid out in his 1994 book, Descartes' Error.
So, related to the body?
Precisely. Damasio's big idea was that rational decision-making isn't purely logical. It's deeply emotional and embodied. He argues that when we face a choice, our brain quickly flashes through the possible outcomes, and for each one, it retrieves an emotional memory from a similar past experience.
So it's not just thinking, it's feeling the options.
Yes, and that feeling is the somatic marker. It could be a knot in your stomach, a slight quickening of your heart, sweaty palms. These are physical signals from your body that act as an alarm bell or a green light.
And this is happening unconsciously, right? Before you've even had a chance to reason it all out.
Largely, yes. These markers bias your decision-making. The brain areas involved are the ventromedial prefrontal cortex, or VMPFC, and the amygdala. They essentially tag future outcomes with a good or bad feeling based on your past.
Huh. So it's a kind of biological forecasting system, using emotional data from the past to predict the future, or at least the future that's best for you.
That's a perfect way to put it. It's your body whispering, hey, remember what happened last time? Don't do that again.
So how did Damasio even test this? How do you measure a gut feeling in a lab?
With a famous experiment called the Iowa Gambling Task. It's pretty clever. Participants are given 4 decks of cards and told to make as much money as possible.
Okay.
2 decks are bad. They offer high immediate rewards, but have huge, unpredictable penalties that make you lose money over time. The other 2 decks are good. Smaller rewards, but also much smaller penalties, so they're profitable in the long run.
And people have to figure this out by playing.
Exactly. And what Damasio's team found was fascinating. healthy participants, after a few losses from the bad decks, start generating anticipatory skin conductance responses. Basically, their palms get a little sweaty when they just hover their hand over the bad decks.
Wow. So their bodies knew which decks were bad before their conscious minds did.
That's the interpretation. Their somatic markers were firing, warning them, and they gradually learned to choose the good decks. But patients with damage to that VMPFC brain region, they never develop those anticipatory physical responses, and they keep choosing from the bad decks, even when they consciously know it's a losing strategy. They can't use past emotional experience to guide future behavior.
So this somatic marker can be a real physical response, the body loop as it's called, or it can be a simulation of one, what Damasio calls the as-if body loop.
Right. Your brain can just simulate the bodily feeling without actually producing it, which is much faster. It's a quick, dirty, unconscious forecast of this feels good or this feels bad.
Okay, I get it. It's a powerful explanation for intuition. But, and this is a big but, how does my sweaty palm tell me about a specific horrible event happening in a place I have no connection to? It seems like a huge leap.
It is, and that's the limit of this model. The somatic marker hypothesis is about predicting the personal consequences of your own actions based on your own past. It's not built to explain accessing external information about a public event. It grounds intuition in biology, but it keeps it strictly personal and localized.
So, to get to these more expansive experiences, we have to leave the neurolab. Let's talk about Carl Jung. We're moving from personal, embodied memory to what exactly?
To a collective unconscious. Jung proposed that beneath our personal unconscious, our own repressed memories and experiences, lies a deeper layer shared by all of humanity. He called it the objective psyche.
And this is where his famous archetypes come from, right?
Exactly. Archetypes are these universal, inherited patterns or symbols. Think of the hero, the shadow, the great mother, the wise old man. They're not specific memories, but predispositions to experience the world in certain ways. They show up in myths, dreams, and art across all cultures.
So, how would Jung interpret a precognitive voice through this lens? He was more focused on dreams, wasn't he?
He was, but we can extend the logic. From a Jungian perspective, a vivid, externalized voice wouldn't be a literal broadcast from the future. It would be an archetypal manifestation, the collective unconscious breaking through into waking life, perhaps during a moment of crisis or heightened sensitivity.
So, the horrible event and the specific place mentioned by the voice, Jung would see those as symbols?
He'd likely argue they are both literal and symbolic. The content is presented in a concrete way to get our attention, but its real meaning is archetypal. It's the objective psyche using the language of external reality to communicate a deep, universal theme, like catastrophe, transformation, or a call to individuation, which is his term for psychological wholeness.
It feels very metaphorical. Is there any modern science that even touches this?
Surprisingly, yes. Some neuroscientists are trying to map Jungian ideas onto current brain models. A paper just last year in Neuroscience of Consciousness tried to link archetypes to the tension between cortical, ego-driven brain functions and deeper subcortical systems, particularly within the framework of predictive processing.
Oh, predictive processing. We've talked about that before. The idea that the brain is constantly making predictions about the world and updating them based on sensory input.
Right. So this new research suggests that archetypes could be seen as deep, evolutionarily old predictive models about social and emotional reality. When our normal top-down predictions fail, these deeper archetypal patterns might surface. But again, it's still a model for internal experience, not necessarily aligned to future events.
Okay, that brings us to our third figure, Rupert Sheldrake. And this is where we take a pretty big leap into controversy, right?
A huge leap. Sheldrake is a biologist, and he proposes a mechanism that could, in theory, connect consciousness across time and space. He calls it morphic resonance.
Help me understand what that even means.
Sheldrake's idea is that natural laws aren't fixed, eternal laws of physics. He thinks they're more like habits. He posits that self-organizing systems, from crystals to plants to human minds, inherit a kind of memory from all previous similar systems.
So, the more something happens, the more likely it is to happen again, everywhere? Not because of physics, but because of a kind of cosmic memory?
That's the core of it. He calls the blueprints for these habits morphic fields. He gives the example of rats. If a breed of rats learns a new trick in a lab in London, he argues that other rats of the same breed all over the world should then learn that same trick slightly faster.
Not because of genetics, but because they're tapping into this new rat trick field?
Exactly. He sees it as a potential biological basis for Jung's collective unconscious. Instead of a mystical psychic pool, it's a natural process of information resonating through these fields.
Wait, so how would this possibly explain hearing a voice about a future event? The event hasn't happened yet, so there's no memory to resonate with.
This is where it gets really speculative. The theory suggests these morphic fields contain attractors that pull systems towards their end states or goals. The idea would be that you aren't picking up a memory of the past, but resonating with the attractor for a highly probable, emotionally charged future event that is already taking shape.
Okay, that is a lot to take in. Does he have any specific case studies related to, say, auditory precognition?
Not directly in the research I found. His work focuses more on things like telepathy, the sense of being stared at, and animal intuition. The theory is broad, but specific examples of it causing a precognitive voice aren't detailed. It's more of a grand, overarching framework that could be invoked to explain it.
Which brings us to the scientific reception. I'm guessing morphic resonance isn't showing up in mainstream biology textbooks.
Not at all. It's widely labeled as pseudoscience. Critics like Stephen Rose and Lewis Wolpert have pointed out major flaws. The definitions are vague, the proposed experiments are hard to control for other factors, and this is the big one. It's potentially unfalsifiable.
What do you mean, unfalsifiable?
Well, as a recent Scientific American article noted, when experiments trying to show morphic resonance fail to get positive results, the explanation offered is sometimes that the negative results just weakened the morphic field. If failure can be explained away by the theory itself, then you can never prove it wrong.
Ah, yeah, that's a classic red flag in science. But Damasio's work is solid, right? Mainstream?
It is, but it's not without its own debates. There are critiques of the Iowa gambling task, with some researchers arguing that the results can be explained by other cognitive processes, not just somatic markers. There's still a lot of uncertainty about the exact causal link between the bodily feeling and the decision.
So we have a spectrum. Damasio is accepted but debated science that explains personal intuition. Jung is a psychological framework that's being tentatively mapped to neuroscience, but is mostly metaphorical. And Sheldrake is offering a bridge to explain these wild, non-local experiences, but the bridge isn't scientifically sound.
That's the tension exactly. There's this huge gap between the phenomena people report, like a clear, verified precognitive voice, and the scientific tools we have to explain them. Damasio gives us the how for gut feelings, but not the what for this kind of information. Jung gives us a symbolic why, but not a literal how. And Sheldrake proposes a literal how, but it lacks evidence.
So after looking at all three, where do we land? It feels like we have three different languages trying to describe the same mysterious territory.
I think that's right. Damasio's language is the physiology of personal forecasting. It's internal. Jung's is the symbolic language of the human soul, our shared inner cosmos. and Sheldrake's is the speculative language of a living, remembering universe. They aren't necessarily mutually exclusive, but they operate on totally different levels.
And none of them quite nail the specifics of hearing an externalized voice announcing a future event you have no stake in. It seems to slip through the cracks of all three theories.
It does. It remains what some neuroscientists are starting to call an anomalous phenomenon, a data point that just doesn't fit the map. Damasio's work shows us the brain is a predictive machine, constantly trying to anticipate the future based on the past. That much is clear.
But the mechanism by which it could access information that isn't in its own past experiences, that's the whole mystery, isn't it?
That is the entire mystery. We have a powerful model for embodied intuition, a rich framework for collective meaning, and a controversial theory for non-local information. Yet the voice itself, that clear, simple, impossible announcement, remains a whisper from a place that science has not yet learned how to hear.